Hey, Matt.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, we should do that thing we've done before where we talk to each other and record it.
Okay. Sure, we could do that.
I mean, you don't sound that excited.
Let's do it!
Woohoo! Welcome to Hacking the Grepson, the podcast about programming, software development, and related disciplines. Matt and Mike, we're both here. It's been a bit.
It has.
Things have been happening. What, Matt, where have you been? Just give me a rough sketch.
For the last, most of the last month or month and a half, I was in Australia and New Zealand. And now I am not there. I am back home.
Now you're here
and I am
in America.
Working.
How was it? Was it good? Was it everything you'd hoped it would be?
You know what? It was. It was really cool, beautiful, and we got to see some family and stuff. It was nice.
That's awesome.
What have you been up to?
Let's see. I did not go to a different country, but I did go to a city in California I'd never been to, Merced, because there was a conference for my work there, and it was really hot. It was over 100 degrees. Didn't like that, but the conference was great, so it was worth it.
Well, I'm glad that you had fun.
Yeah. But hey, we're here to do podcasty stuff now. And we were just...
I thought we were just hanging out.
Yeah, well, we could just do that. But you said something that made me think that's a good podcast episode. You said that you started playing a game recently. Which one is that?
Satisfactory. So Satisfactory is a factory building game, similar in vein to Factorio, which is one of my favorite games. And the biggest difference, I think, is probably that it's 3D. And that is what I was...
You have thoughts about 3D?
Specifically, I don't enjoy 3D games as much as I do 2D games. And in particular, with Satisfactory, I'm finding that the majority of my time is being spent running across the map and then trying to figure out where my stuff is. Like, where did I put that? Which one is this thing? Everything, all the machines look very similar when you're up close to them. And I can't zoom out. I know at some point you get like a jetpack or something, and I'm expecting that will make my life a little bit easier so I can actually see what I'm doing. But like, I can't arrange things the way I want to. I just, in general, am struggling to like build my factory the way I want to because I'm finding the actual mechanics of it cumbersome. And I can't find anything because I get lost.
You know, I hear you. And I'm talking as someone who put hundreds of hours into Satisfactory, so I really enjoyed that game. I maybe put like a dozen or so hours into Factorio, which is basically the 2D version of the factory building genre, and they're both
I have hundreds
great
of
games.
hours in that.
Yeah, and I thought this was fascinating because I don't know. I don't have quite the same challenges with 3D games that you're describing. It's weird because like I hear what you're saying about you spend a lot of time moving around and when you're up close, it's hard to tell detail of things. And that's definitely kind of a hallmark of three-dimensional games, whether you're in first person or third person, either like the camera is like in front of you and you're seeing as the person is seeing, or if you're right there in front of the camera and you're kind of moving them around like a doll or something. But I don't know that I'm going to counter this with a game that I started playing recently, which is called Water Park Simulator. And
is it like Roller Coaster Tycoon?
It is exactly like that, except it's in 3D, and it's first person. So you're running around a water park. You are servicing guests. You're feeding them food. You're helping them if they drown. You're pushing people if they're being if they have like a camera and they're taking pictures of people, or if they're stinky, or some kind of negative trait that you don't want in your water park. You just shove them and then they leave, and you get money for that because that's how the real world works. But it has a similar issue where you build your park and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, much like in Satisfactory where you start with a small factory and then it just gets enormous. And it does get harder and harder to analyze your system because as it gets bigger and you can only see what's in front of you. Whereas in Factorio, you can always just zoom all the way out and see the whole thing almost like, a map.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, like God. Like you get
in fact,
the God
in
view.
Factorial, if you go to the map and you start zooming in, you do zoom into what's actually happening.
Yeah,
So
but almost no one really uses. Well, yeah, because you control a little character in Factorio. You move a person around and they build stuff. But like the water park simulator game does have a build mode, and that's where it gives you the God's eye view, and you can zoom in and out and move around and do stuff.
That's
You don't
what I
have
need.
to actually build in first person. You can't build in first person really. So I don't know. I
that would solve my problem right away.
Yeah. Well, and you do, spoiler alert for Satisfactory, you do get ways to get above your factory and see it better because it's kind of impossible to see it when it's a first person view. So, but I'm curious what it makes me think about though is it just this kind of game in a 3D sense, or is it like did you not like Super Mario 64 or Zelda Ocarina of Time, which are also 3-dimensional games?
So a couple things. First, I don't like first person.
Okay.
Probably. Well, it's not that I don't like
that's
it.
key.
First person is my least favorite form of view in a game. I like 3D if it's like over the shoulder and I can zoom out a ways. I want to see what my character is doing and see what's surrounding them. I don't like this very narrow scope. If I want a narrow vision, I'll go in real life. Also, my personal field of vision is so much wider than what they seem to think it is in video games.
Well, and that's usually why they have the FOV.
But if I widen it, it looks
change
bizarre because then I'm viewing 180 degrees like this big.
Yeah.
I would need virtual reality, I think. But then I'll get motion sick. In order to really appreciate first person and get it to work the way my brain works. But also, I get lost really easily in games in general. I don't have a good mental map of where things are because I don't have any visceral feeling of where I am. I'm not personally there, and the way I navigate in real life is very spatially based, like a spatial orientation feeling that I have more than anything else. I'm like, oh, that way's west, and so I can kind of just do things. In the game, I'm like, where was that again? What room was that? How did those two connect? How do I get there? There's no mini map in this game. There is a map, thank goodness, eventually.
Yes.
Which is somewhat helpful. But I find myself walking a few feet and then going, map. Where? Okay, there's a cliff there. So to get around this cliff, I have to go that way, even though the thing I want is that way. So I'll go around here, and then I close the map, and I'm lost again.
Right. So does that mean that you also don't enjoy Doom or Doom-like games?
I played Doom when it came out, Wolfenstein 3D, all those. I liked some of them, but ultimately they all have the same problem for me, which is that I find them difficult to navigate. And frankly, just less fun. I think some people get really into immersion in games, and for me, the closer it gets to real life, the less immersive it is, because it's not. Maybe my Uncanny Valley tolerance
area.
Yeah, I think my tolerance for that is way lower for first person. I'm like, nope, that's not what that would look like. That doesn't make sense. I can't see my feet. Right? Whatever. In Satisfactory you can, but in Doom, you can't even look down. You're just face forward.
Well, but that's also one of
that.
That's one of the earliest versions. They've obviously improved on that a lot. I guess.
But no, I don't like those games as much.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64, those were fine.
Yeah, but those are also third person, so you can see your character, which is important.
I'm trying to think of a first-person game I really enjoyed. I didn't even like Myst in part because of that. I don't know where I am. I get lost, especially if there's any sort of loading zone or with Myst. It was you have a flat image and then you turn and then there's another flat image.
Right.
And it's not seamless.
Well, unless you play real Myst, and then it was actually 3D modeled as opposed to just.
That was later though.
Another game that it makes me think of is Minecraft. I'm guessing that's not one you got into either. Although you can play that in third or first person.
Yeah, I did struggle with Minecraft. So before Minecraft, I played Terraria, which is
the 2D version,
basically a 2D Minecraft.
Yeah.
I much prefer Terraria. It's so much easier for me to navigate. And I think, part of it is getting rid of that third dimension, especially in building games I don't like. And I think part of that is because it's very I have some OCD tendencies. And it's difficult to align things properly in 3D. I'm finding this really struggling in Satisfactory, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to put these two giant containers next to each other, and I want to line up the holes so that I can put a straight and I can't do that half the time. Even with the like align mode, it's not clear exactly what's happening and what it's aligning with. And like if I could just zoom out and look overhead, I'd be like, but that third dimension really does, it adds enough variance to where I can put things and what I'm doing, and like, oh, something's behind a mountain, I can't see it, and all that kind of stuff. And I think part of it is also traversal. In Minecraft, like I not only have to go over a mountain if I want to get out, I can also go around the mountain. But there's like two paths to go, or through it, which is what I usually do. But for whatever reason, that also is just a pain for me.
So this definitely clarifies more why when we talk about making a game, which yes, we are still thinking about, trying to get back on track on that actually, that you're pretty largely opposed to making a 3D, at least a 3D first person game, but maybe not a 3D third person game.
Maybe not, yeah. I also just think 3D is probably more complicated to make than 2D, because you're just like, okay, here's my screen on 2D. Otherwise, you're like, you're building areas instead of volumes, right?
And it's more about the camera and where is the camera? Because when you think about a 2D game, the camera is fixed and it's showing the same amount of space and stuff just moves around it, as opposed to all three dimensionals, 360 degrees. Yes.
That's the other thing I don't like about first person. I like third person 3D games more because I can move the camera. I want to pull the camera back and have
to a 2D
wider
if possible.
field of view. Not even necessarily that, but just I want to see more of what's going on than the like few feet in front of me, or out to infinity where everything's at the same like. It's I don't know.
Yeah, no.
But the camera is in Satisfactory in particular. The camera and lack of minimap are probably the two most frustrating things to me.
What about the 3D Fallouts? Does that mean you play them in third person versus first person?
I struggle with that a little bit, actually. I tend to bounce back and forth. The problem is when I'm just like running around and exploring, I like third person. In fight, I prefer first person. Like when I'm in a battle, because aiming is crap.
Well, you just use
in third person.
What's it called? The VATS system. So you have like kind of turn-based,
I also do like that, but that's limited. You can only use that so much. But like I tend to go for a lot of like ranged fighting in Fallout and any of those kind of games. I don't want to get in the melee. Right. Like no, don't hurt me. When I play Fallout, and I'm exploring, I go into third person. I zoom the camera out as far as it'll let me, and I'll like swing it around to look at things better. I'm like, oh, what's going on there?
It's almost like you
Part
turn
of the
it
reason I
into
like moving the camera around is because I don't move myself and I don't lose my orientation of where I was going.
Right. It's almost like you want it to be more of a 2D, or not even, you want it to be more like a strategy game where you can survey the area rather than.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like less personal and more like general strategic. And
for some reason that is more immersive to me because I know, like, if I'm wandering around my house, I know where everything is because I have a sense of the orientation of my house and where rooms are next to each other, and each room is unique and there's unique characteristics, and I live here and I'm here all the time. I'm not coming back 3 weeks later after having not played for a while, except after my
Unless
vacation.
you go on vacation.
Right. And so, like, I can navigate my house with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
And in a video game, there's no possibility of that. If I haven't come into a game in a while and it's 3D, I am always lost. 2D, some of the times.
But
2D
that
top-down, almost never.
Right. But that also means that, like, essentially the longer you play a game, the more comfortable you get and the more orientated you get, and maybe the less bothersome the three-dimensional can be.
Yeah. If I'm only playing that one game and I'm playing it consistently, I'm able to deal with that better. But I don't play games like that.
Right. I'm going to talk about this more in a future episode, but I started using this service that lets me see all of the games that I've played like all the public information about games I played on like Steam and Nintendo and stuff like that. And I'm just looking at the games that I've played a lot of, at least since it's been recording. Obviously, I've been playing games since I was like, 4 or 5, and I don't have data on that. But at least for the last, say, 10, 15 years. And like a lot of these games are three-dimensional. Some of them are first person, some of them are third person. But like, I don't know, it seems to be not an issue whether it's one or the other. Like, I guess I've just played so many of this type of game that I've kind of internalized the muscle memory of moving through a space in first person in a three-dimensional space. And so like, it's not even something that crosses my mind at this point. And so I'm just wondering if it's a fulfilling prophecy that if you don't like it, that means you're going to play it less, which means you'll be less comfortable, and I play more, so I get more comfortable. I don't know.
Quite possibly. So thinking about 3D games, like Breath of the Wild, it's one of my favorite games. I have no trouble navigating it.
That's definitely on this list.
It's very straightforward. It's 3D, 100%. It's 3D. The level, the like height differences are very manageable. It's very clear what I can and cannot jump over. And then also I can just climb over stuff, which is great. Like that's one of the things I don't like about 3D games is I can't go. You can try to like, in Skyrim when you're trying to go over a mountain and you just keep jumping to try to like hope it'll. I do that all the time. I hate that. I'm like, I just want to go there. The game gets in my way in 3D, and I don't want it to do that. I play games for me to have fun. I really don't play games to be challenged, to be significantly challenged or inconvenienced. I find it annoying. But I wonder if it, you asked about the self-fulfilling prophecy, and I wonder if it's that or if it's that I have, my brain works different, and I wonder if that might have something to do with it. So I don't have the ability to visualize. Right? It's called aphantasia. Some people, it's a growing field of that people are still learning about. I only learned about it like 7 years ago, maybe. And I wonder if that's part of it. Like if I am in a game and I'm looking this way, I no longer know what it looks like behind me. Like I can't imagine that. I might know, okay, yeah, there's a fort behind me back there somewhere. But like distance, angle, any of that stuff is gone. Like I can't see it. And as soon as I can't see it, then maybe that's my ADHD. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore.
I mean, that kind of sounds like an adult object impermanence issue.
Kind of. I know it's there. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
And so I can't reason about navigating it.
That's fascinating.
Even in real life, I pull out maps all the time. I'm like, where are these things relative to each other? Okay, this is here, that's there, this is there.
I guess the thing that I think of when I'm playing one of these games is that whether I know or can visualize what's behind me, I guess it's almost like I go into a dissociative tunnel vision where it doesn't matter that I can't tell what's behind me. The only thing that matters is what's in my viewport and what I'm moving towards. And it's only like when I stop, like when I reach a destination, that then I do maybe a more 360 survey, but not
No, but it's
while
exactly
I'm traveling.
that. I'm trying to get to that destination. There's obstacles in my way between here and that destination.
Right.
Where do I go?
Yeah.
Right. And I can't see it. I can't remember what the pathway between these two things looks like, or even their relative positions, because I can't mentally map it. In the 2D world, there's less to think about. I'm like, okay, that's north. And
Right.
That's the other thing, right? That's one of the things I like about 2D games. Well, one of the things I like about 2D games is, in general, but not always, the world is a fixed direction, right? Legend of Zelda, you walk in, you're never going to go sideways into that old man's cave on the first screen because you can't rotate the screen. You have to go up or north or however you want to refer to it. And in a 3D game with a camera, it swings around and it's not static. It's not fixed. And I think also in real life, I view the world almost like as I turn, the way that is where my monitor is it feels like I am turning in the world, and not that the world is turning around me. Whereas in a video game, when I move myself, the camera swings around and it moves everything because it's not real. It's not fixed in place. There's no spatialness associated with it. Mm-hmm. I can't feel where things are, basically.
Yeah. Man, this is just
Me
fascinating.
brain work weird.
Yeah, well, it's just fascinating because it feels like something that I'm sure I've like subconsciously thought about at some point, but once again, I feel like it comes back to at some point I got hooked on some game that kind of forced me to, just, I don't know, get over whatever obstacle that you're talking about may or may not have been there. And then I just got over it. And then I'm like, I like this type of game. And also another point I wanted to make is that it seems like because of things like Unity and whatever the other big one is, I'm blanking. Unreal, right. That they're like made to make 3D worlds. And so like the default template for someone who's like, I want to make a game. Oh, what's the most popular game making software? Oh, Unreal. I grab it and you say new basic test game, and it's probably going to make you a 3D game, not a 2D game.
It is.
And so
Unless
that almost kind of
change it.
Right. But I'm just saying like it kind of seeds what might more likely get made by someone. And so, and that's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy too. It kind of builds on itself. If it, the defaults affect a lot of people. Like I'm someone, like when I use, music software and I'm trying to choose a sound, I openly admit that I will go with the defaults almost all the time without messing with them because they're generally good enough. And I think for someone who's never made a game or just wants to make something that's popular or, more importantly, like a lot of the games that are already out there, they might go for the 3D game because that's just the thing that people make now. Like only indie, quote unquote, indie devs think about making a 2D game.
Yeah, and I almost exclusively play indie games because of that.
Yeah, like the big budget games.
Except for like Nintendo, right? Like those tend to be more forgiving with their 3D. Like whatever I was describing with Breath of the Wild, Nintendo is good about figuring out how to do 3D in a way that is not hard for me to conceptualize. I wonder though, like, so part of this I think is the way I ingest media, right? When I watch TV, I am not watching first person. I'm watching people do things. I'm zoomed out. I'm looking
like
at
on a
it.
stage.
And so like that's how. So on a screen, that is how I expect things to be. I expect it to be like that, and I can conceptualize it. I can have a better idea. I want a fixed camera that shows me the whole thing, or I want complete control of the camera, and I want to be able to like fly it around so I can be like, okay, that's where things are.
So like if the show uses, a first person shaky cam,
hate it.
That's a big no for you.
Hate it. Those are the worst for me. One of the worst things you can do in a movie to break immersion for me is hit the camera with blood or water or anything. I'm like, I'm not there. I know I'm not there. I'm on my couch.
And also, if you were there, immersion. Your face is not a flat screen that someone splatters something on. That's not how you would see it. Unless you're wearing glasses, maybe, like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we watched a movie last night, Sam Raimi movie, about two people on a deserted island. And it's gory and funny because it's Sam Raimi.
He of Evil Dead.
At one point, blood splatters across the camera, and I'm just like,
oh, right, I'm watching a movie.
Viscerally took me out of it.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, I was watching this scene unfold as if I was like a fly on the wall, and now, oh no, there's a piece of glass in front of me that is making it seem like I'm there, and it breaks it. And I think something about first person is so disconnected from reality to me. It's like trying to show me what it would look like if I was there, that it doesn't do that. Now, whereas otherwise, I'm like, oh, yes, this is what the world is like. This is an abstraction of the world, and I'm watching it, and I'm playing.
Yeah, right. No, yeah. These are very interesting points. I'm chewing on these internally. The one I had one more point about 3D though that I wanted to give as like a pro that I'm curious what you think about. Like one of the pros of a first person or even just a 3-dimensional game is that, there's so many more dimensionalities of movement.
Yeah.
That is just freedom. Like it's the freedom of movement that is such a pro to 3D versus 2D, whereas 2D almost always locks you into either 4 or 8 directions. Isn't that a pro to have the flexibility of movement in a 3D, or is that not a pro for you?
I don't necessarily feel like it's flexibility of movement, but I still feel like I'm very constrained by things like small
Obstacles.
walls.
Yeah.
Like 3D games where you can't jump are the stupidest games.
Yeah. Or invisible walls that keep you from going somewhere
those.
that's obvious. Yeah.
And I'm thinking back to like A Link to the Past, and that did multiple levels clearly in a 2D world. Like you could climb on the same screen between 2 different levels, and it dealt with it. And it was like, oh, okay. And you could tell that they were different levels, which is another thing I think is frustrating in some 2D games. Is there's a Metroidvania I'm playing right now. It's side scroller, and it's trying to do multiple layers, and I can't tell what's in my plane and what's not. That's a different subject altogether than 2D versus 3D.
Yeah.
But that same navigational issue I run into in every game, pretty much.
It's a bummer because I'm just looking at my list again. One of my favorite games that I played this year was Peak, which is that mountain climbing game that was kind of friend sloppy. Although honestly, I wouldn't put it in friend slop because it's really good and they keep adding stuff, and it's just a really fun, easily accessible multiplayer game that I just know would not be as much fun in 2D. Like you have to, it's a first person, and I'm climbing this mountain, and I'm helping my friends get to the top of the mountain, and I don't know how you would do that as viscerally in 2D. And I think that's why it's fun, because of the 3-dimensional visceralness. And 2D would just feel a little, I mean, without being too punny, flat, but also just the immersion, even though you're playing a character that doesn't look like a real human, they're just humanoid, there's something visceral about it because you are climbing a mountain and you're seeing it from their viewpoint that just could not be done in a 2D game. And I love that game, but I don't know, maybe that's just a game that you just like would have to pass on because of how it is.
I'm looking through games that I've played a lot of, and the first one I can see that is like definitely first person is Blueprints. I've sorted it by playtime.
And yet that game is very structured in that every room is a square in a larger structure. It's a board game, basically.
But I do remember struggling a little bit to navigate things. I was always having to go back to the map because of that issue where you're like, I'm turning this way now.
Yeah.
And like, I can't see over here, even though it's in my peripheral vision. It's not on the screen. Yeah, and then like, I'm looking at other ones on here. Baldur's Gate is my top one. Some of these are wrong because I think it got really confused when I traveled to New Zealand because it's got games that I've never played that have like 100 and something hours, and I'm like, I think that might have just been backgrounded and the time zone changed.
Ah, I see. Yeah, Blueprints could have easily been a 2D game. Like, there's really nothing about that game that requires it to be 3D, except once again,
fun for me.
It was made in the last 10 years, and like I think players might have only almost expected it to be 3-dimensional. I don't know. That's an interesting,
and you do lose the ability to look up and down the walls if it's 2D. So
well, but like you said, it could be more like A Link to the Past, where there's obviously some elevation, but it's just shown with pixel art and shading rather than you being in the world. Yeah. So I don't know.
I think my point about the layers earlier, I think where I was trying to go with that is I find 2D games generally have less clutter in them, and I can clearly see what is supposed to be what. I like pixel games for that. This is very clearly an enemy. It is not some blob moving off in the shadows in the distance. And I like to know exactly what I'm doing in my game.
Yeah.
And I think 3D has a lot more noise. Who knows?
Well, you've made some valid points, Matt, and I think I've made some
And so
valid
have you.
points. And
It's opinion.
It's opinion. Yeah, it's and it's also very individual experience based. Like I just want you reminded me of another friend of ours who tried to play the puzzle game Talos Principle,
Yep.
which is a great puzzle game, but
It is.
it is by default in first person, and they tried to do it at that with the default FOV, which maybe couldn't be customized, at least in the first one, and they apparently got motion sickness and had to stop playing. And I was like, motion sickness? And I like, because I put like, I don't know, 80 hours into that game and loved it and like played the whole thing all the way through it, and I never got motion sickness. So I'm like, okay, this is a very individual experience thing. Like there's no right or wrong. There's just, some people react differently. Well, that's our episode today on 2D versus 3D. There is no winner. They're both good. Try them both. But I think...
Play what you like best.
Yeah, but I think we will probably still be making a 2D game just because, it's probably easier to make because you're right. There's less things to worry about, and you'd probably enjoy it more anyway, and that's important. So you can listen to more of our episodes on hackingthegrepson.com. We try to put out an episode every other week on Wednesday. And until the next time we talk at you, we now return you to your regularly scheduled lives already in progress.